Good?
Okay. Are we ready to start whenever?
Yeah.
Okay. We're here with two-time world champion Tainan Dalpra is going to be competing at the Crown coming up. So the last time we saw you compete, Tainan, was at the Absolute GP. You had a super fight. What have you been up to since then?
Well, since that, just continue to sharpen up my skills. I feel like most of the athletes, they usually go through camps, and that's something that I've never dealt with my entire career. All year long, we're just training and preparing because, you know, the calls, sometimes they come in short, and you need to be prepared for those. And at the same time, just continue to improve my jiu-jitsu. I think like every time I look back on my performances, I'm never really satisfied with it. So I have my professor to break down those wins or losses and break down the matches and trying to sharpen up my skills and just to showcase a better version each time that I step on the mat.
You mentioned, which is pretty interesting, that you don't really do camps. Your training is kind of all year long. And like you said, that's pretty different from a lot of other athletes. So can you talk about why you started doing that and just how that's benefited your skills and your career?
That's just always how my life it's been since I moved here, you know. So I think like if you call yourself a full-time athlete, a full-time athlete, pretty much a fighter, I think that's what you got to do all day, you know. So like I try not to waste time doing different things. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I truly love doing. I truly love staying at the gym, training hard, seeing my progress every week. And to me, there's just no better feeling than, you know, when you end the week, you've made huge improvements into your game, and now I have the opportunity to showcase that. So I think the hard work meets the opportunity, and I get to display my jiu-jitsu, at the highest level.
So you've competed in some of these IBJJF super fight events, the GPs, but the Crown is a little bit of a different format. It's going to be a 4-person bracket. There's 6 divisions, and it's going to be a really exciting, really big event. So what do you feel about the format of the Crown and how it's different from some of the other super fights you've done?
Well, very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. I fought a few names of the bracket already, and I think whenever I get to fight the person again, he excites me even more because then I get to really show how much progress I've made since my last fight with that specific person. And I think IBJJF has been doing a great job, not just building these events, but staying consistent. You know, every weekend there's a competition, there's an IBJJF competition somewhere, and giving us the opportunity to compete. Like I say, from the beginning, even when I heard about the Crown event, I was on already. So I messaged the IBJJF, I said that I was going to be on regardless who was going to be on the bracket, and just to support. If I want to see, if I'm always the one voting for a better sport, for a higher pay and all that, I need to be the one also showing up on the mats. And I feel like that's where I got to represent, you know. So I'm a huge fan of IBJJF. That's what I've made my name. That's what I've won and accomplished the biggest goals that I have in my life already, and much more that's coming. And like I said, just to be there and support. I feel like from the moment that they announced, I was game already. So very excited for that. I think what excites me more is that this time it's a crown. So instead of being a medal, it's the actual crown. I don't have one of those yet. And if I'm trying to become the greatest middleweight of all time, that's another stepstone from my career. So just to continue, raise my level, continue to win as many world titles as possible, and continue to display jiu-jitsu every time I'm on the mat.
So let's talk about some of your opponents. You mentioned that you fought some of the people in the Crown middleweight bracket already. We'll start with Andy. You fought him in the World's Final 2022. You got the submission win, but Andy's had a pretty interesting career at black belt. He's jumped around a lot in weight classes. He's done lightweight, middleweight. He did medium heavy this year at the Worlds and took second. Had an amazing performance. So can you just talk about Andy's game and just his versatility and ability to jump between weight classes and get great results?
Well, I think he's very talented. Whenever you start at the sport very early, you know, he probably started training when he was, 8, 9 years old as a kid. You reach your 20s, you feel good. You've been training for a long time. I think the difference would be on the structure. You know, I believe on the team that I have behind me. I think like jumping in different weight divisions, you collect many experience, but I feel you never really certify with which division you belong to. You know, so since I was purple belt, I've been saying that the middleweight was a division that I was going to be competing, was a division that I was going to be active every competition, and I've done it so far. You know, so I know there's plenty of challenges coming my way in that division, and I feel it's not the pressure, but it's to continue to show up every time, continue to, display a better jiu-jitsu, to continue to challenge myself. And it got to the point where it's not even the titles that excites me anymore, but it's the performance, the dominance. That's what I look for. I think like I've accomplished great things in my career so far, and now I'm into the phase where I want to make highlights. I want to make sure I build legacy and performance, and every time that I compete, doesn't matter the opponent, I'm able to dominate, and I'm able to take it all the way to the finish. And that's what my career has been all about. That's what I've been saying since I was a color belt. And the years continue to go by, and the more structured, the more organized, I have a strong team behind me. I have a strong leader, which is Professor Guy, and I feel like I have everything that I need. And I think having my team all year round focus, it's what excites me the most. It's what makes me happy, makes me step on those mats and make sure that I represent, make sure that I lead the path for the next generation. And like I said, it's just the structure, I believe, is the key for the success.
Let's talk a little bit about Pedro, too. He's a guy that you fought quite a few times in the final of some major tournaments.
Correct.
He dropped down to lightweight for the Worlds, fought your teammate Jonathan in the final. He ended up losing, but he had an amazing performance, had a bunch of really cool submissions at the Worlds. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about Pedro as an opponent and just how he's evolved over time?
Well, very, very dynamic. Very jumping and dynamic and very active when they're fighting. But I don't really look at the opponent. I look at the game plan that I set before the competition, and I look to make progress in that during the match. So I feel like in this weight division, my weight division, doesn't really matter the opponent that I'm facing and their game. I mostly focus on the game plan that I set with my team, and try to execute that every second of the match. And lately I've been focusing a lot more on just submissions, forgetting about the points and just focusing on submitting. And that's been leading me to dominant positions. So it's almost like I'm structuring my game completely different now. And every time that I step on the mats, I try to showcase a different Tainan, just a different game every time. I feel like if I always go there and I just care about the win, I can always hold the win for an advantage, 2 points, and that's it. I accomplished the goal. But to me, that doesn't make me happy. Like I said, it's performance. It's structure with my team, build the game plan, and executing. So the execution is always to make sure I dominate my opponent, to make sure that I showcase the best jiu-jitsu, and finish with the submission. So that's what it's been. I've been always focused, regardless who is the opponent. And I feel like every match, it's just step by step, I try to plan that, So I want to, if I could, I would love to fight every single person and into the end, but we'll see how the bracket goes. And once the bracket's out, I feel like I'm going to really set my plan and go from there.
Yeah, you've talked about performance, submissions, and wanting to make highlight reels. So what can fans expect from Tainan Dalpra at the Crown?
I don't like to be the person that always leaves expectations. I like the person that goes there and makes it happen, So if the fans want to expect something from me, it is to expect hunting the submission into the end. So that's what I've been trying to do. And like I said, make highlights, create highlights, build legacy, and cement myself one day as the greatest middleweight of all time.
Awesome. Thank you, Tainan. We'll see you November 19th at the Pyramid.
Thank you.